7th grade, I experienced a funeral and a birthday on the same day. It was a week before April break, and I was home alone watching 2 expecting goat mothers who were overdue to deliver. I should probably preface by saying that my family runs a dairy goat farm in Cumberland. And April is a really crazy time for us. It's when all of the moms are delivering their babies. And we always try to plan it so it's happening over April vacation, but of course things don't work out that perfectly. And there's some goats that are born the week before, the week after, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. And since both my parents are school teachers and me and my sister were in school, we would all take turns staying home to watch the goats, just in case something went wrong, we would be there. So the story I'm about to tell you is the day when I was home watching them. And usually these days went, nothing happened. And I would read my book and I got to play hooky, and it was great. This was nothing like that. So I went and checked on Gogo, who was one of the goats I was watching, and I peeked over the wall of her stall and saw this bubble coming out of her. This might be a little graphic at times. It is about goat birth. And when you see that bubble, it means only one thing, that the kid is coming and it's coming fast. So I went in and I knelt beside her, and after a couple minutes passed, and a couple more, and a couple more, I started to get really worried because, like I said, it was supposed to be happening really fast and nothing was happening. And I started to panic because I was alone and my parents were at school, and I knew that a kid was stuck. And I had to go in and get it out. So I called up my parents, and I think I was crying. I'm definitely sure I was crying. And my dad picked up, and he said all the dad things you're supposed to say, that it'll be okay, we'll be home soon. But I knew that his soon wouldn't be soon enough for me or for Gogo. So I hung up the phone, and I slipped a rubber glove onto my hand, which thankfully I'm nervous now, so it's actually shaking again. And I slipped it onto my shaking hand and reached in. I was feeling for body parts, for courage, for hope, for anything that would help me and Gogo get through this situation. And I knew from goats' births that I had experienced with my parents that you're looking for 2 hooves and a nose like this. That didn't feel anything like that. I felt a side, maybe an upside down elbow, I don't know. And so I just hooked on to whatever I could, and I pulled as Gogo pushed, and I pulled with her pushes until this kid dropped onto the shavings, lifeless and gray. And right at that moment, from the other side of the barn, remember I was watching 2 goats that day, I hear a huge exasperated bleat come from Chianti's stall, and I rush over to her stall without a moment to mourn, and there is this new kid on the ground shaking its floppy ears for the first time, and all of a sudden I'm just pushed into this situation that I can't handle, that I don't want to handle. But I have to. And so I run around gathering towels and iodine and dental floss and scissors, all the materials that I'd seen my mom use before, towels and iodine and dental floss and scissors, towel, iodine, dental floss and scissors. And I repeated this mantra in my head until all the objects were in my hands. And the first thing I did was go to Gogo's stall, who was heartbreakingly licking her kid. And I wrapped it in a towel and walked to the back of the barn. And I'm sure if I had a second to think, I would think about the circle of life and how things need to die for things to be born and all that bullshit or whatever. But I didn't have any time to think. And so I rushed back into the madness, go to Chianti's stall, and she's pushing out another kid, run to Gogo's stall. She's working on another kid now that the way is cleared for the rest of them. And then I go back to Chianti's stall, another kid is out. And I will tell you at this moment that Nigerian dwarf goats can have up to 5 babies. So there's a lot of darting back and forth. And then suddenly it was over and quiet. And the only sounds kind of echoing through the barn were the calls from kids to mothers and mothers to kids. And mom goats make this really wonderful sound, and the only time they make it is right after they have their babies. And I don't think there is a better sound in the world. Thank you.